Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, McFarlane Toy Store exclusive, gold label collection, Arkham Knight Scarecrow. And this is the amber version. It's unusual to get a gold label variant before getting the regular version, and this Scarecrow looks pretty close to the real deal, but it's not the regular Scarecrow. It's this amber and brown paint variation. Excited they're making some more Arkham Knight figures. So let's go and check out the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus, part of the McFarlane Gold Label Collection, DC Multiverse Scarecrow. Here's in the package. Looks like no traditional accessories, but he has a display stand and a collector's card. One side of the package, Scarecrow from Batman Arkham Knight. Other side, simply says Scarecrow. The bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. And on the back side, here's Scarecrow, looking very menacing. So no further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting two of these figures, one of which to open and enjoy, and one to keep unopened in my complete Batman-related unopened action figure collection. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He doesn't come with any traditional accessories, but he has a display stand and a collector's card. Before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Scarecrow from Arkham Knight, but this is not the regular version. This is McFarlane Toy Store, gold label paint variant. This is called the amber variant. It looks very similar to the regular one, as the color scheme is mostly brown. There's different shades of brown, some amber or orange in there. A little bit more excited to get the regular one, but these paint variants look really nice, and the Scarecrow looks very close to regular, but still really cool. Scarecrow was very creepy in Arkham Knight. He's totally messed up from his experience in Arkham Asylum when Killer Croc pulled him down in the sewer. It really messed him up, which he somewhat blames Batman for. So let's take a look at him. Start with his face here. It looks sick. You can see the gas mask sticking out, the stitched up mouth. He's got the hood on. The hood has nice stitching and great sculpting detail all over it. Now you're not going to be able to pull the hood off, which is a little disappointing, but not a big deal. He's got this noose wrapped around his neck, and I think you could possibly remove that. I'll probably try popping his head off just to see if it's permanently attached or not. He's got these tubes all over him, feeding the fear toxin all across his body. You can see his backpack here, tubes along his arms. It goes to these needles in his hands so he can inject me with the toxin. He's only got the needles on one of the two hands. I absolutely love the way all this looks. Very complex, very complicated and intricate. He's got this injection device here. It just looks so nice. Now the actual tip of the needles, I don't think they look that good, but it works. They're made of a soft material, so you don't have to worry about breaking them. He's got a fisted hand, an open hand here. Looks like double jointed elbow, double jointed knee. And just like in the game, his one leg is totally messed up. He's got this sort of brace to help him walk, but they did a pretty good job of not messing up the articulation. Very well done. It is single jointed here, double jointed here. You can see his sort of trench coat. It's soft, it's flapping, more stitching, more texturing. Just cannot stress to you how impressed I am with this figure. I cannot wait for the regular one, but this one is really cool as well. And just a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Very, very nice. Look at that hood. All the sculpting detail. Top notch. $20 figure. Man, look at that. In the game, one could argue that Scarecrow's the main villain. It's a toss-up between Scarecrow, the Arkham Knight, or the Joker, even though the Joker's not even alive in this game. Scarecrow fear-gassed the entire city, evacuated the entire thing, and then the Arkham Knight moved in with his militia. Of course, the Arkham Knight is really the one behind everything, but he's sort of working with or for Scarecrow. Arkham Knight simply wants to take down the Batman, as it's Jason Todd, and he's very angry about what happened when he quote-unquote died. Scarecrow is trying to fear-gas the entire city with his cloudburst. Game's very intense. Gameplay's good. Graphics are great. They hold up pretty nice today. Now let's take a look at his accessories. And let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand. Black perfect circle. Says DC on the bottom. It's got one peg for the pegals on his feet. It's very thin. Very basic. Here's his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Scarecrow from the Arkham Knight. Looks to be source material for the game. Scarecrow from Batman, Arkham Knight. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his lack of accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 7.2 inches tall, which can translate to about 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. You can get, well, I guess that answers the question. His noose is a separate piece. You can rotate his head all the way around. You can move the noose separately. His head, it can go up and down just a tiny bit, but not too much, and really you're not going to be able to hold any of those poses anyway. Yeah, you can tilt his head from side to side, but once again, not going to really be able to hold those poses. Shoulder on a ball joint. Goes out a little more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. It looks like no butterfly joint between the shoulder and chest area, but he has his jacket to cover up that gap. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbow, they go all the way in. His wrist can rotate and doesn't, oh yep, it is hinged, but doesn't get a lot of range of motion there. His other hand here, you can see a little bit more clearly. He does have the new style elbow joints, looking a lot better than the ball joints. His torso here, he's got waist articulation, rotate around, forward and back. Now he's got all these tubes. It's going to limit how far you can push him from side to side. He does have another ball joint in his torso here. It's kind of hard to access them separately. Here's the top part moving around. Then the bottom part has sort of a soft goods overlay, preventing you from getting too much there. You can turn him, it'll hold it, but you really only get use out of one of these two joints. Legs, does the splits pretty nicely. Not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. They go forward, about that far, back, not much. Double jointed knees on his right knee. Single jointed on his left. Then his ankle here. Rotate, no problem. Forward, back, tilt, rock, and toe articulation. Someone had heated him up, popped his head off, and then his noose is a completely separate piece, almost like an accessory. He can hold this thing, you can see the nice detailing all over it. In addition to that, his head has a much wider range of motion without that there, and it really isn't that noticeable, but it really definitely needs to be reattached to have him look the right look for the game. Now that I've reattached this piece, it does seem like it really doesn't affect the neck articulation that much. I think just heating him up freed that up. Here's Scarecrow in the Ace Chemicals building. He's standing next to a couple of fear toxin henchmen. And just a closer look at this McFarlane Scarecrow, with some of his fear toxin henchmen next to him. Fantastic setup. Replace some of the fear toxin henchmen with some Arkham Knight militia, and it's very similar to the game. Here's a scene near the end of the game. We have Scarecrow, Batman, Oracle, and Commissioner Gordon on the rooftop. Scarecrow forces Batman to unmask. Then he injects him with a fear toxin, but it's not enough to take down the Batman. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures, starting off with the DC Direct Arkham Knight Scarecrow. Here's the McFarlane Arkham Knight Scarecrow, the Amber Edition, next to the DC Direct Arkham Knight Scarecrow. Both are absolutely fantastic figures. The DC Direct one is done in the more traditional paint scheme, and I can't wait for the Arkham Knight one in the regular colors. Which one do you guys think looks better? Like I said, they're both absolutely fantastic figures. They both have their pros and cons. Better articulation, a little more durable. I'd say the sculpt is probably a little better on the DC Direct one. Which one do you guys think looks better? And here's the McFarlane Arkham Knight Scarecrow next to the DC Direct Arkham Asylum Scarecrow. I really hope McFarlane gives us an Arkham Asylum Scarecrow. They would do a phenomenal job with that guy. And in case you're wondering how he'll fit in with the DC Direct Arkham Knight Batman, here he is. Height-wise, they fit in great together. For the most part, scale-wise they do. Although look how small this pinhead Batman's head is next to Scarecrow. Now let's check him out. Next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to Batman from the Arkham Knight. They scale up much better together. Then, next to the actual Arkham Knight, Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight were the two main antagonists in the Arkham Knight video game. Here's Scarecrow, next to the Arkham Origins Deathstroke. Deathstroke was in the Arkham Knight at the very end. He looked pretty much exactly the same in Arkham Knight as he did in Arkham Origins, so you could put this figure in either display. Here's the Arkham Knight, Scarecrow, and Deathstroke. I believe they were all working together the entire game. Once the Arkham Knight was revealed as Jason Todd, and he kind of gave up leading the militia, Deathstroke slid in and took over the militia. You had to fight with him in one of the final boss battles. I feel like he was there the entire time behind the scenes, but I could be wrong about that. Here's this McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Gold Label Amber Scarecrow, next to the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Gold Label Red version of Red Hood. These guys came together in a bundle from the McFarlane Toy Store, and I'm looking very forward to the regular versions of both these characters. Here are all of the Arkham Knight figures McFarlane has made so far. We have a total of 4 different characters, 5 figures. We know they're giving us an upcoming Scarecrow and Red Hood, the standard paint variations, and I would welcome pretty much anything else they would give us from Arkham Knight. Here's Scarecrow, next to all the Arkham Asylum figures that McFarlane has made. We've got a total of 4 different sort of characters, although Titan Joker is technically the Joker. But there's a total of 8 different figures here. And once again, I really hope they make the Arkham Asylum Scarecrow and Harley Quinn. And here, with the Arkham Origins Deathstroke, he's the only figure they made from Arkham Origins. And there are actually no figures they've currently made from Arkham City. But there's an upcoming Joker, and I believe there's a Build-A-Figure wave with Batman, Penguin, Catwoman, Ra's al Ghul, and Collected Connect Solomon Grundy. That's yet to be 100% confirmed, but I'm pretty sure it's happening just like that. Here's Scarecrow, next to all the different figures that McFarlane made from Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights is an upcoming video game due out in October. It is not related to the Arkham franchise, although it looks to have a lot of similar gameplay. Now, McFarlane has also made figures from video games that are not just Batman video games. Here's Scarecrow with the entire Injustice 2 roster. Here's the Arkham Knight Scarecrow, next to McFarlane's Batman Last on Earth Scarecrow. This Scarecrow is just a torso. I mean, he kind of looks cool, but it's definitely not my ideal version of Scarecrow. Arkham Knight is closer to that, but I still yearn for a regular Scarecrow, something lanky, something that should be hanging in a field somewhere. And here he is, next to the recently released Infinite Frontier Scarecrow. Once again, far from a normal Scarecrow, cool for what it is, but I really hope McFarlane gives us a regular, iconic-looking Scarecrow. They would just kill a release like that. And here are all the different Scarecrow figures McFarlane has made so far. I think there might be a rumor of an Injustice 2 Scarecrow coming up. The next one they're making is going to be the regular paint variation from Arkham Knight. Now let's check them out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the recent bundle I got from the McFarlane Toy Store, Bane, Talon, and Necron. Then, next to the Walmart exclusive gold label versions of Azrael and Batman Armor and Parallax Hal Jordan. And here he is, next to the previous bundle I got from the McFarlane Toy Store, Future State Superman, Infinite Frontier Scarecrow, and New 52 Static Shock. And now, next to the first series of Page Punchers, still need to get the black and white repaint of Black Adam. And now, here's Scarecrow, next to the Black Adam movie figures. Then, with the Blackest Nightwave, Collector Build Atrocitus, here's Scarecrow, next to Martian Manhunter, both Classic and Rebirth. And here he is, next to the Target exclusive Crime Syndicate wave, Ultraman, Superwoman, and Owlman. Then, with Duke Thomas from Tales of the Dark Multiverse, and the Batman Who Laughs dressed as Batman, here's Scarecrow, next to both versions of the future state Dark Detective Batman, and here with all three versions of Lex Luthor in his power suit, then with both versions of the Zern Art Batman and all three variations of the Infinite Frontier Robin. Here's Scarecrow next to the Batman vs. Hush 2-pack, then with the single release of Hush, and now next to Ghostmaker. Here he is next to Grifter and the Arkham Knight, and finally next to the Tim Drake Red Robin and the John Kent Superboy. Now let's check him out next to some other Scarecrow figures. Here he is with all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Scarecrow figures, then next to all of my DC Direct Scarecrow figures, and here he is next to my Mattel Scarecrow figures, then with a Mafex Scarecrow, and here, standing with an older Kenner Scarecrow figure. Here's my entire collection of Scarecrow figures, and looking forward to the next one. And I've always been into world building and army building in my Batman world. I'm into henchmen and thugs for my Batman villains. Let's take a look at all the different Scarecrow henchmen I have. These are the first ones I got a long time ago. A little bit smaller scaled, because that's all that was available back then. But here's Scarecrow next to a couple of Toy Biz Jack-o'-lantern figures. Here's Scarecrow next to a couple of later Toy Biz Marvel Legends Jack-o'-lantern releases. These guys scale up pretty decent, and they look really good for Scarecrow henchmen in my opinion. And here, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends Jack-o'-lantern figures. I actually don't think these guys are as good as the Toy Biz versions. Here's Scarecrow next to a couple of different Scarecrow henchmen that are sort of ghouls as you'd see them in Fear Toxin. In the game, it started off with a police officer shooting a bunch of people. He thought they were demons, but it turned out they were just regular people. Later in the game, some of the different various Arkham Knight and different thugs on the streets were wearing masks like this. A while later, McFarlane started up their Fortnite line, and I was really into that line. They made the Sculpt Trooper, and I just thought to myself, Scarecrow thug, Scarecrow henchman. So of course, I went ahead and bought 4 of those guys. 7-inch scale, worked perfect with the McFarlane DC Multiverse stuff. Then they released a paint variation of the Sculpt Trooper. This is the Green Glow Sculpt Trooper, a Walgreens exclusive. He has a black cap and some glow-in-the-dark features. And then Jazzware started making 6-inch scale Fortnite figures. They made the Purple Glow Sculpt Trooper, some more Scarecrow henchmen in the 6-inch scale. Then they released another variation of the Sculpt Trooper. This is the regular black and white version. It's better than the purple version, but boy, I have enough Sculpt Troopers at this point. I was thinking, please don't release any more variations. And that's just what they did. They made the inverted version of the Sculpt Trooper. I've got a million billion Scarecrow henchmen of different shapes and sizes. I bet Hasbro is going to eventually make a version of Sculpt Trooper too. Now let's check him out. Next to some action figures from different various companies to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jakks Pacific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, next to some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 1/12 collective figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a fantastic figure. It's interesting how this paint variant looks so close to the regular Scarecrow. The amber, the brown, it works really nice on him. I can't wait for the regular release. Although, this is so close, it feels like I already have that. His accessories are non-existent. That's a little disappointing, although I'm not even sure what I would suggest he comes with. His articulation is very well done. I like how one knee is double jointed, one is single jointed. They handled the limitations of the sculpt very well. Sculpt and paint job are excellent, no issues there. If I were to rate this figure, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, and that's a pretty high rating for an odd paint variant, but it all just works so well. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.